Part 12. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 112. The hostess behind was still giggling. This laughter was heard in the ears of Yan Ji's ears. Is it fun to tease an egg? The woman laughed so silvery and looked like a neurosis. Yanj was so impatient that she really wanted to smash this woman, and then let her experience the embarrassment of being chased away. A majestic voice sounded at this time, "Linger, you broke this big array of mountains." The hostess is also known as Xiang Linger. When she heard the words, she looked up and looked at the man in white with a smile. The laughter was even brighter. "Yes, master, you always say that the spirit gathering is not broken, you will not leave Fi Longfeng. I broke the spirit gathering. Is also helping you." Therefore, the host's vitality in that year was also a gift from worshipping the hostess. The heroine Xiang Linger, herself is a darling of heaven, who can be used for everything, which will cause people around her, beasts and beasts, to become a shelter for her, commonly known as a dead ghost. Funny, the name of Xiang Linger's master, Baiji, is the elder of the Xianjian school, and also the master of the Dragon Peak. Even if Xiang Linger broke the spirit formation at this moment, there was no anger on his face, and he sighed. And still said, "Well, go to Zishantang to take punishment." Xiang Linger stared up at Baiji. "Master, it's the season of peach blossoms in Dehua town, 100 miles away, isn't master going to take a look?" Baiji bowed his head slightly, avoiding Xiang Linger's eyes. The person who cultivates immortals should take the world as the top priority, and should not be greedy for the world. Xiang Linger interrupted Baiji's words with a sneer. "Master, you are just an individual. You are thinking about the world, but have you ever thought about it? Maybe you don't need you at all in this world." She finished talking and turned away. Yanj was relieved after hearing the sounds outside. But Xiang Linger took a few steps, remembered what it was like, his eyes fell on the words. "I found this egg first, and I'm going to Zishantang. The master doesn't mind if I take this egg away." Yanj's egg is now under Baiji's feet. Baiji heard the words, his eyes fell on Yanji's egg. Without waiting for Baiji to make a speech, Xiang Linger took a few steps to Baiji's face, and bent down to catch the song again. How could Yanj get her caught? When Xiang Linger's hand touched her egg body, a spirit jumped away from Xiang Linger's hand, rolled a few times, and then rolled off the mountain imbalanced. Xiang Linger sacrificed his own artifact and wanted to drag this egg back. Baiji said softly, "It's spiritual and doesn't want to follow you." Xiang Linger smiled when he heard his words, his eyes waved and looked at Baiji. "Master? What does master think?" Baiji didn't speak. He looked at Xiang Linger with tolerance and helplessness, as if looking at an unreasonable kid. Xiang Linger finally defeated under his eyes. She pursed her lips and turned away. Waiting until Xiang Linger's breath left Fi Long Peak, Baiji's figure flickered a little, and the egg that fell into the abyss was taken out. He frowned, staring at the seemingly small egg in his hand, muttering to himself, "She's lucky, and she has a blood of dragons. Why don't you like her?" Yan Ji can't answer. Of course, if it's not because she is too weak now, she really wants to escape from Baiji's hand. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 113. Because in the host's memory, this Baiji was not only the master of the heroine, but also always liked the heroine. Because the two were in a master-student relationship, Baiji restrained his private affairs. Although the heroine could not reach him anyhow, he always secretly protected the heroine. The idiot like Dong Dong is the most terrible. Yanj feels that he has fallen on Baiji's hand, and sooner or later he will be given to the female host by Baiji's hand. The chick noticed Yanj's hostility to Baiji, and said weakly, "I have something not so good to tell you. You say it Yan Ji's body is really weak. If she didn't hold it in one breath, she felt that she would lose consciousness in the next moment. The white stop in front of you is the mighty one. Yanj digested the news for a long time, and then scolded, huh. She stunned the life of the mighty again. The mighty man in this plane is really sad and eager to cultivate spirituality. He was seduced by his apprentice. The little apprentice did nothing to ridicule him, but he was so weird. But this little the apprentice ran after he had finished walking, and was finally with others. The host's impression of Baiji, besides being hypocritical, is tragic. Because the heroine is a very extreme woman, she could not get Baiji's response, and she felt angrily in the heart that Baiji liked this world and did not like her, so she ruined the world. Every time the heroine did something wrong, Baiji was almost there. Unfortunately, no one understood Baiji. Instead, because the heroine made friends all over the world, she felt that Baiji was a heartless and hypocritical man. So this time, not only was the upheaval of the mighty, but in the end it didn't get what he wanted. But even if that seems to be the case, he hasn't been able to pinpoint the plot. Yanj suddenly had a whimsy. If she helped the mighty person to chase the heroine, would the mighty person get what he wanted this time? Would it be possible to find out? This idea has yet to be verified. Yanj feels that the most important thing at present is to cultivate and adjust his state. Dignified beasts can't be contracted casually. Fortunately, Baiji also said that, and did not bring the egg of Yanj to Xianglinger to offer treasure. He rearranged a spiritual gathering for the words. However, this small spiritual gathering is really different from the ancient gathering of the host, but it is better than nothing. Yanj listened to him softly and said to her, "You are wronged. I couldn't help but uttered hypocrisy in the bottom of my heart." Xianglinger destroyed the large gathering of spirits, causing the host's fate to change. From the blink of an eye to the world's beast, he turned into a contract beast that was always defending the heroine. Can be erased. However, speaking, the host and the mighty seem to have almost the same fate. All cannon fodder characters. The crisis was lifted, and Yanji had no intention to think of anything else. She stayed in the spirit circle and began to cultivate quickly. The large array is destroyed, and the host's vitality is severely damaged. Even if the shell breaks out in the future, without the natural treasures to help the host care for the body, the host will become a weak chicken with no power, and the appearance will not be much different from that of the snake. The host's lifetime has always felt that the hostess always feeds it to eat heaven and earth treasures to enhance its ability, so it is the willingness to defend the hostess from disasters, but later, the wisdom became more and more mature, and I learned that my original array was Xianglinger deliberately destroyed it. Even if the host has anger in his heart, he cannot vent it, because he signed a blood deed with the heroine. Before he inherited the blood of the dragon, the blood deed made it impossible to even give birth to the mind of the host. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 114. It is a pity that when the host died, the host failed to inherit the blood of the dragon, and it was one step away from the Valley of the Dragon. But in the end, it failed to enter Shenlong Valley, but the cheap female lead entered it, and the Yinlong Jiang inherited the blood of Shenlong. All the wishes of the host must be built on a strong foundation, so now the only thing that Yanj has to do is to strengthen itself. Although the days of cultivation are boring, if it is settled, it is almost impossible to discern how long time has passed, and sometimes the words of songs sometimes have the illusion of being 1,000 years. I felt the outside world again, because the spirit circle was broken again. This time the spirit gathering is too small, and it is not the same level as the last big battle. Therefore, although the spirit gathering is broken, it does not cause any damage to the words. She should have been practicing immortal for a long time, because she can sense the situation outside by a glance. Master, How can you do this? Xiang Linger was crying, hugging Baiji. Is this world so important to you? Baiji, always in white clothes, was covered with blood at the moment. The dark air between the eyebrows was looming, and the eyes were blood red. Is this a sign of enchantment? Xiang Linger hugged Baiji tightly and continued to yell, but you like this world, but the people in the world don't like you. Look at them, they all yell to kill you, they will kill you. Yan's Juling array was destroyed by the sword spirit in the hands of Xiang Linger. In this scene, the host also has a bit of memory, because Xiang Linger failed to enter the magic path because of love. Baiji forced Xiang Linger's heart demon to himself in order to pull Xiang Linger into the right path. Xiang Linger not only entered the magic path, she practiced all the exercises of the demon clan. Baiji forcibly evacuated the magical spirit in Xiang Linger's body, causing his own blood to roll into the magic. He was discovered by everyone, and the lives of the majors were afraid that he would go out to make a mess, so he wanted to kill him at this flying dragon peak. However, Baiji's cultivation is against the sky, and because he is enchanted, these people are not his opponents in combination. Xiang Linger pointed at the crowd with a sword in his hand. His voice was cold. Who dares to take one step forward, I will kill you. Linger, come here. A man in a black robe appeared in the void and beckoned to Xiang Linger. The turbulent people calmed down because of the appearance of the man, but everyone's eyes were fixed on Baiji in the arms of Xiang Linger, for fear that the man would move. When Xiang Linger saw the person, his eyes were red, and he cried, "Brother Yet." The caller is the male protagonist. After Yahan's gaze drowned Xiang Linger, he turned his head and looked at the crowd. Bai's hit song demonized, everyone must be worried, but with Bai's his ability, everyone can't even be afraid to fight hard. Leave him here, and I have a suggestion that instead of losing both to him and him, it would be better to seal him here with a large array. Baiji is the ancestor of the Xianjian school. Zhao Wei is also the first in the world of Xiaoxian. The other martial arts wanted to take this opportunity to destroy Baiji and completely collapse the Xianjian faction. However, as Yahanji said, everyone is not Baiji's opponent. Even if they are together, they cannot fight the magical Baiji. Instead of risking his life to kill Baiji, it's better to have a large array to trap Baiji forever. After Yahangsun finished speaking with everyone, he turned his head and looked at Xiang Linger again as the whispered discussions took place. I want to take master, he can't be trapped here. Xiang Linger's eyes were red and his voice was extremely firm. I want to take master, no one wants to stop me. Yahanyu did not respond, only looking at Xiang Linger with a pair of black eyes. Xiang Linger's sword slowly drew down, and she held Baiji tightly in her arms in frustration. Master, master. Baiji still had a hint of reason. He grabbed Xiang Linger's wrist violently, and threw people towards Yahanyu. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 115. Take care of her. After Baiji said such a sentence, he suddenly stepped back and jumped down from the abyss that had been hit by the magical energy on him. Yahangsuan hugged Xiang Linger in his arms in time. His eyes swept the crowd, and he paused in the position of Xiang Yanj without any trace. Although Yanj didn't break the shell, the deity's consciousness was inherently powerful, and Yahan's gaze fell on her like a real sword, making her heart burst. There are layers of formation enchantments in the abyss that Baiji jumped down. This is Baiji himself setting up the battle. He probably wants to seal himself on the bottom of the valley while he is a little conscious, so that he will not go out to chaos after demonization. Yanj rolled down the abyss before Baiji's formation was closed. I don't know who shouted, that egg, that dragon egg, it fell into the array. Shenlong egg is a Genpai treasure of the Xianjian school. Although this egg has not shown signs of incubation, this dragon egg has always been coveted by all people in this legendary era. Without Baiji, the Xianjian faction could hardly protect the dragon egg. At this moment, when the dragon egg and Baiji were sealed in the abyss, the head of the Xianjian faction was relieved. he subconsciously thinks that people like Baiji will never be demonized. Dragon eggs and Baiji are together. Even if the young people in the immortal world want to kill Baiji, they are afraid of accidentally hurting the dragon eggs. Kill all the living creatures. Baiji protects the dragon egg, and the dragon egg also protects Baiji. They complement each other and instantly solve the two major concerns of the head of the mind. Compared with the ecstasy of the head of the Xianjian faction, the hearts of everyone are not so comfortable. The Xianjian sent two treasures, a Baizhizun, and a dragon egg. Everyone wanted to touch the fish in the muddy water. This is good, even the eggshell is not seen. In spite of their unwillingness, in order to completely seal Baiji's time bomb, they discussed together and planned a few formations at this place. Today's Flying Dragon Peak is no longer a Flying Dragon Peak, it can only be called Flying Dragon Valley. Baiji's newly formed array is also called Shura Array. This array can also be regarded as an ancient array that has been lost. It is said that once this array is generated, it cannot be broken, cannot enter the array, and cannot be out of the array. It is of Shura. Although everyone can see that this is Shura array, they have little trust in Baiji, so they have arranged several large arrays outside of Shura array, one ring at a time, completely separating Baiji and the dragon egg. Sealed in the array. In the end, it also hurts the dragon egg, so the formation method is mainly sleepy, not killing the formation. Obviously it is a bright sun outside, but in the abyss, there is no visible mist. The egg of Yanj was rolling and rolling, and afterwards, I suddenly remembered that Baiji was enchanted. These mists must be the magic of him. The magical energy on him could not be dispersed, which means that he is now demonized and has no self-consciousness. Where is this guy? She rolled and felt rolling, feeling that she had rolled the whole valley bottom 2 or 3 times, but still could not find the trace of Baiji. It is impossible for a living person to disappear. Yan Ji was so excited that he asked the cub, "This guy won't want to kill himself. How come? This is the darling of heaven, his mental quality is not that bad." But Yanj thinks that this guy's psychological quality is really bad, otherwise he won't be blackened to the 2nd level. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 116. Can't find Baiji's trace, Yan Ji simply stopped looking, and she planned to cultivate herself as soon as possible to leave the eggshell. But as soon as the breath in her body moved, she noticed that there was no aura in this large array. No Reiki training afoot. It must be that those people outside arranged a large array to isolate the aura from entering the valley. After trying a few ways, Yanj couldn't cultivate, she really wanted to scold her. The chicken consoled the words, "In fact, there is no need to cultivate, and you can slowly break the shell by absorbing the heaven and earth's aura by yourself. Although this method is a bit slower, it is the best practice for the end beast. Yanj, in addition to magic in this valley is magic, do you think there will be a heaven and earth aura?" The chicks are silent. Yanj recalled that Baiji did not seem to have gone out of the valley until the host and heroine went to the legendary Shenlong Valley. So, is she likely to be living with Baiji in this broken place forever? The point is that Baiji hasn't seen anyone now, which means that her egg is going to live here forever. Yanj is a tree that is unwilling to be lonely. After a decade of decadence, she rolled around and started spinning around the valley floor again. The valley was damp, and some lush vegetation gradually came into being, and Yanj was struggling to roll among the vegetation. This egg also has no wings, and the mud rolling every day is polluted, and even more embarrassed when it grows. But this did not affect her mood in the slightest. Every day, I try to change the practice, and then go around the valley 3 times to find Baiji, which has become a daily life of Yanj. This guy can't run into the soil. The unspoken word song looked for thoughts at the cub, the magic around him is getting weaker and weaker. He should be converging, but where is the others? Chicken, he must be in the soil, Or should you dig 3 feet to try? Do you think my round body will dig the ground? Also, forget that you are not wood, but now you are an egg. The cub lit up the wax for the song. Would you like to try a soil method to hatch yourself first? What do you mean? Find a moist and warm land and bury yourself, maybe you will break the shell when you wake up. It's a good idea, Yanj sneered. So how did you hatch yourself this way? The chicken was twirled by Yanji and simply twisted his body to face Yanji, and began the Cold War unilaterally. After a while, the enchantment faded, and then it became rich again. The entire interior of the valley was almost gray and black. Because of the magic, the lush trees in the valley were gradually distorted and grew one by one in a strange direction. Shenlong Kexi, although these magical chi are strong, they cannot approach the dragon egg of Yanj. Those magical chis are like spirituality, they find that they can't be eroded, and they simply block the words. So Yanj became an egg with its own black beauty effect. Bazi, this guy, he has no body and is gone. Has he become magic? With that thought, Yanj really scared herself. Baiji is a sword repair, he is relentless. If he falls apart into a pile of magic, it is not impossible. So the question is, how can she let a bunch of magical spirits break through the situation? A few days after Yanji's distress, a rusty dagger fell on her from the pile of magic. I yelled, but fortunately the egg was strong enough, otherwise it would be broken. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 117. Isn't this the innate power tool of the Mighty One in this plane? It has been corrupted by the magic gas. The cub was surprised and said, Wood, what to do? The Mighty One may think with you it's the same, it's really a pile of magic. This is really a bad thing. Since the Mighty One has no influence. Yanj feels that what he needs to do now is to leave this ghost place as soon as possible. There is no heaven and earth aura in the valley to let her cultivate, she can't wait for the shell to break when the fruit is ripe. I can't break the shell, so I can leave by rolling like this. So the first thing to do is to find a way to break the shell. But this shell is too strong. Yanj smashed his tail for several days and failed to break a gap. When is it going to be such a head? Yanji's tail was going to be swollen. You're really a brainless wood. The cub rolled his eyes. I thought you had played with your tail for the past 2 days. I didn't expect to smash the eggshell. Why don't you use your artifact? Singing words, she really didn't want to mention that brick. It hurts to see it. The tail fluttered a few more times, and the pain stimulated Yanj, and she suddenly thought, that guy swallowed her so many souls, why not use it for nothing? My heart meditated several times. When the brick appeared, Yanj rolled his tail around the brick and smashed it into the eggshell. After the first smash, the eggshell cracked. Although this guy is ugly and he is still a vampire, I have to say that this guy is really a superb artifact. Yanj's tail was rolled with bricks and smashed a few times, and the extremely hard eggshell was finally broken open. It is said that this kind of eggshell is very nutritious, and Yanj is swinging his tail to bite on the edge of the eggshell. When she saw a big mouth suddenly appear on one side of her ugly brick, and then stunned with a thunderbolt, she wiped out the big eggshell. Song. Before she opened her mouth, the eggshells around her were gone. Oh, there's still something left, and she's still pressing some eggshells under her body. After the brick was finished, he twisted to the song. It seems embarrassed to be ashamed. The shameful bricks twisted their bodies again, but Kier's tweet. Although nowadays the word song is a beast, but she has not even grown up her claws, and now it is no different from a little snake. As soon as the brick pushed her, her swollen body slammed on the ground and hit 2 rolls before she could stand still. When she looked up, there was still the shadow of the eggshell. Already burnt out by bricks. The ugly brick was still chewing rhythmically at the moment, biting the dagger of the mighty one. That eggshell was the only ration of Yanj. She had thought that she could eat the eggshell to add some nutrition to her current body. But now, the eggshells of Team were eaten by the bricks. No residue left. Doesn't that guy know what a master is? Hemp eggs. Anger stung a few times in the body. Yanj still could not suppress the anger. She rushed to the brick, and flung her tail on the brick. The brick was not photographed, but Yanj's own tail hurt hotly. Obviously, the brick did not expect Yanj to shoot it. Its mouth was wide open, and the end of the dagger was still in its mouth. Although he didn't have eyes, he twisted the wide side to Yanj, and made Yanj feel that this guy was watching her. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 118. The chicken wondered, I think it seems to be self-conscious. Why can't you communicate with it consciously? Yeah, why? She also wants to know. How could she be hit by such a thing? She has to know that her own destiny will be so wonderful, and she would never have thought of keeping a destiny. Yanj didn't say a word, so the bricks started to click the dagger in the mouth again. After staring at the sky for a long time, Yanji swims his body toward the deep valley. It is an egg on weekdays, so it is not convenient to go anywhere. Now she finally has a body. Of course, she must look for the powerful one. But after a turn, there is still no trace of the mighty one. And to the surprise of Yanj's song, the magical whirlwind of the bottom of the valley that belongs to the mighty is all around the brick that has been daggering in place. It is estimated that the dagger is the innate weapon of the mighty, so those magic chi are so angered. Did not find the words of the mighty man, a bit frustrated, and returned to his place, intending to take a rest for this little body, and then observe the large array around. Let it stop eating me. A voice growled suddenly, sounding loud and angry. Yan Song looked up and saw no one. In this formation, she and the mighty one, is this mighty one talking? Without waiting for the words to respond, the voice screamed again and again, stupid snake, let me loach you no longer eating Lao Tzu, or I will shoot it into powder. Stupid snake? Yan Ji's gaze fell on the direction of the bricks that were wrapped around by the black magic and could not see the situation inside. So, after being enchanted, this mighty man did not become magic, but instead turned into a rusty dagger? This guy still called her stupid snake? Although the ugly bricks could not be rejected by herself, it was a bit intolerable to be called into mud by others. Yan Ji's little snake squinted and did not speak. The enchanted air wrapped around the bricks is turning faster and faster like a whirlwind of the dragon, and it is faint to see the fretful roar and indignation. Stupid snake, the deity finally said it again, to make your loach rough. Yanj, who are you? I can't see you, where are you? Then the voice was briefly silent. Maybe thinking about who he is. Of course, there is also the ability to blast in place. The deity is the most powerful being in the world. Before he finished his words of pride, he immediately became a roaring voice, let your loach spit Lao Tzu out of him. Into powder. The Supreme Bai's Hiran is paralyzed every day, and he rarely goes angry. However, after this guy turned black, he took a bite of Lao Tzu and was obviously irritable. The words are still silent. The Xianjian school is all about Kendo, and Baiji is the magic of the relentless Taoism of Kendo. When the sword practice reaches the extreme, everyone will be one. So it's normal for this guy to become a sword. The only thing that is not normal is that this guy has become a small dagger, not a real sword. The mind of a person can be detected most of the time from the slightest state around him. Just like this mighty man, the sword in his heart must be a rusty dagger, otherwise it would not appear as a rusty dagger now. This guy, obviously has a mentality problem. Blame had to be able to detect the situation. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 119. Yanj felt that he had discovered something extraordinary at this moment. Bai Ji continued to growl, "Stupid snake, you are still in a daze, I smashed your snake head into mud." Yanj put her body together, and she was really dazed. Bai Ji saw that the song was so, and the angry howl shouted, "Laozi killed you beast/living." After that, a black shadow emerged from the thick magic. Bai Ji in white clothes is like a flower of Kaoling. He is independent in the world. But the white only in a black suit is because the eyeballs have become red, and the eye circles also look a bit red, like a little boy from a wealthy family who has been choked up. Although it looks frizzy, it hurt, the force doesn't seem to be great. Of course, it's also possible that this guy's lethality was killed by that brick. This guy, step by step, the aggressive Song Yanj came, and when he reached the side of the Song, he stepped on the Song as soon as he lifted his foot. But before he stepped on his foot, he was hit by a brick on top of his head and stunned him. The small brick invitation usually jumped to the side of Yanj. Although it didn't have eyes and features, it jumped around like this, it made people feel that it was babbling for praise. "Yan Song, can you speak? Since this guy has a mouth, it should be more than just eating." The small brick heard that a corner of the brick touched the ground, and the brick body shook for 2 times, as if shaking its head. "Yanj is inexplicable, I can't speak." The small bricks were more cheerful. "Yanj, don't eat anything in the future, be careful of diarrhea." The little brick's body, which was no longer dangling, started to shake again. "It's probably too long to faint," it fell suddenly on the snake of Yanj. Song. Really heavy. She was also a dragon skin at this time. The flesh looked tender and similar to snake skin, but it was sturdy, but it was so smashed by a brick. Suddenly she felt that Venus had broken her waist. Hemp eggs, this brick is what she tossed out to torture herself. Bai Ji woke up not long after. When he woke up, he saw Yanj, and he was all enchanted. "You stupid snake, you dare to hurt Laozi, you are dead." He ran a few steps towards Yanj and was tripped over by a brick and kneeling in front of Yanj. It was probably angry and hurt by the brick. It was open to Bai Ji, who thought about Yanji's small head, and he wanted to eat Yanji by learning the brick routine. But he hadn't bitten on the Song's head yet. The brick had already bitten his chin with a whine, and he was painful and angry. This brick is really ugly. But the ugly people make a lot of mistakes. It can break the rules of heaven, and even the beast can smash the teeth of other people without fear of the tiger. Bai Ji, a human, and bricks are not a level of existence. Since he was transformed from a dagger to a human, he has been chased by bricks in a valley. The blue-eyed face is not good. When the anger reached the extreme, he simply turned back into a rusty dagger, but once turned into a dagger, he would be bitten into the mouth by the brick and chewed. Bai Ji initially threatened Yanj with anger and controlled her dog legs, and even tried to attack Yanj. After all, in his opinion, bricks are the magic weapon of Yanj. If you kill Yanj, bricks should stop. But the brick was biting him tightly, he couldn't even get close to the words, let alone kill Ming He. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 120. Bai Ji, who was almost smashed by bricks, turned into a pig's head, and his battering Wangba's momentum had been smashed by the bricks, leaving only a few solitary smoke. He was all over his body, and there was nowhere to touch Junmei. Instead, it looks like a beggar who has been fattened countless times. He limped toward the big tree where the Song was. Oh, the bricks on his head bit into his ears and never meant to relax. He was so numb that he couldn't even speak threateningly. Knowing that as long as he is close to the big tree, the brick will attack him more madly, so within a safe distance, he stood still and looked up and said, "Little white snake, can we sit face to face and talk?" The voice is gentle and polite, and the elegant and gentle voice is a little mute. Just listening to the sound, I thought it was the nobleman who was talking. The song at this moment was tangled in the branches of the tallest tree in the valley, and she has been watching the formations around the valley recently. There is no intention to intervene in the fun of Bricks and Baiji. After hearing Baiji's words, she looked down at Baiji, which was some distance from the big tree. Today's Baiji and Baiji in the impression are exactly two poles. I don't know if the Bricks are jealous of Baiji's appearance, when the guy hit Baiji's face. As a result, each time Yan Ji looked at Baiji, this guy was in a state of nasal and swollen face. Now it's no exception. There are Bricks hanging on the white ears with swollen nose and swollen face. At first glance, people think it is a monster. He will never be associated with the white immortal with the appearance of a fairy. He called Yanj little white snake. Yanj narrowed his eyes slightly and asked him, "What's the matter, boy? Boy." He is shouted no matter where he goes. Today he is considered to be a demon-like existence. Even if this little white snake didn't call him a king, he had to respectfully call him a respect. But this smooth snake called his boy. What a pity. Baiji finally managed to take a step back and was filled with anger, a pair of blood-red eyes staring at the words. He exploded in place and turned into countless black magic swords attacking Yanj in mid-air, trying to shatter Yanj into dregs. He's fast, but the Bricks are faster than him. The Brick with a wide mouth chased the magic swords, swallowing them one by one, like a snake, and eaten all the magic swords that Baiji had blurred. Finally, he bit Baiji's sword in his mouth and continued to click. The one that ate was a delight. Baiji turned into a human shape the next moment, ignoring the Brick on his right thigh. He looked up and sang, "What the do you let this loach roll?" Obviously it was trying to endure the sound of anger. Yan Ji tilted his head slightly. "Boy, speak with respect, this is not the attitude to ask the elders." Baiji. He couldn't control his flood power again, and once again turned into countless swords and chants. As a result, it can be imagined that all his magic swords were swallowed by the Brick, and there was only one left who was bitten by the Brick and finally chewed in the mouth. Most of the time, he transfigured 128 swords, each of which had his consciousness attached to it, which was no different from his own. He really wondered how to identify this Brick every time. Come out of him. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 121. Every time the sword whitened by Baiji is swallowed by the Brick, the magic on his body will be reduced accordingly. He had no sense of magic before, so he didn't feel anything, but now, every time he is bitten or smashed by a Brick, he has the illusion that he is empty again. This Brick is actually sucking his ability in disguise. And he didn't notice it from the beginning. Too terrifying. Although Baiji was demonized, but his brain was not rusty, he realized that when his strength was shrinking, he finally calmed down and stopped violently. He even resisted the disgust in his heart, from time to time touching the Bricks intimately, or boasting that this guy was beautiful and wore a wreath on the corner of the Brick. He watched the owner of the Brick, the snake, calmly. "Do you want to leave here?" He gently said nothing to that one, but the little white snake that made him want to kill every time he said, "There are matrix formations everywhere, loop by loop, it's not that easy to solve." Of course, although these arrays are not easy to unravel, they are not unbreakable. The only thing that is more difficult is the Shura array, which has never been solved. In these days, Yan Ji finally heard something from his mouth. She stared down at him and asked, "Do you want to go out?" Isn't that nonsense? If he could go out, Baiji would have been gone a long time ago. Where would he be willing to stay here and be chased by Bricks? As long as he goes out, he can practice the exercises, and there are 100 ways to mutilate the little white snake and the brick. He was resentful at the bottom, but still mild and harmless on Baiji's face. He sighed with a song and said, I, like you, want to leave. Right, you have been meditating recently, but there is a way. The little white snake only knew that he was in a daze, and of course he was laughing at her around the corner. The little white snake's mind must not hear the irony in his words, and Baiji was quite content with it. Yanj didn't say anything, she slid down the branches and reached the ground, then climbed to Baiji's shoulder in Baiji's eyes. Baiji's entire body is stiff. He hates being approached by people. Even if it was the silly white sweet that Xiang Linger had seduced in the past, he had never touched him close. Now, a greasy snake dared to climb on him boldly. Really, it's really being bullied by dogs. He seemed to be aware of his emotions, and the brick jumped up to his head, biting a bunch of his hair. There is a tendency that if he dares to make any changes, the brick will eat up his hair. Green tendons raised their fingers tightly together, and Baiji didn't move. He felt that as long as he moved, he couldn't help but want to swallow the snake. What a pity! However, the brick over his head looked at him with embarrassment. His cultivation was always sucked by this brick. If it was sorring, it was himself who suffered, and he could only bear it. Holding his breath and biting his teeth, he had to bear it. One day, he will go out one day, and then peel and remove the bones of the snake and a brick, making these two animals' life extremely miserable. Yanj found a suitable posture to squat on Baiji's shoulders, then turned his head and said to Baiji, the Shura array is not impossible to crack. Baiji sneered, this snake, even when it came out of the shell, didn't even know the height, and this kind of hairless beast would say such things.